According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Kane may have just scored some wedding leverage. Will Drew threaten to reveal Willow Tate as Daisy Gilmore's stalker if his bride backs out? After Nina Reeves suspected Drew was behind the bizarre baby-related happenings, Drew took a moment to contemplate who else could have done it. Drew's face and queries concerning the 4th of July indicate that he believes Willow is to blame for pursuing Daisy. Sasha was scared enough to pack up the baby and leave town, so Drew understands how serious this is. Willow was slipping into the Quartermaine mansion and manipulating things with an innocent infant, thus this is a secret she'd prefer to keep hidden. Drew's discovery comes at an unusual time, given that he is about to marry Willow. Is there a purpose why the GH writers handed Drew the Daisy stalker secret just before the wedding? Of course, Drew has his own secret, which appears to be about to be disclosed first. Willow should learn that while she was falling hard for Drew, he was blazing with Nina behind closed doors. Curtis Ashford may be the one to reveal Willow's secret, but leaving her groom may prove difficult. Willow may become enraged and decide to leave Drew, but that's when he may strike her with some serious blackmail. It's easy to see Drew taking Willow away for a private moment, while he tries to get the wedding back on track. Drew may imply that they've both done questionable things, and Michael Corinthos may be upset to learn Willow was the one who drove Sasha and Daisy out of Port Charles. Drew might persuade Willow to forget about Nina and marry him, or he'll make sure the truth about her Daisy stalker status is revealed. Drew might persuade Willow that everyone will believe him, and that she will never see her children again. Would that be enough to persuade Willow to proceed with the wedding? Regardless, Drew threatens individuals on a regular basis, so he might as well include his bride and blackmail her on her wedding day. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow may have to change her plans along the way, so keep an eye out for all of the stunning news and desperate moves to come. General Hospital recaps for Wednesday, July 23 show Liesl Obrecht catching up with relatives, while Jason Morgan meets Carly Spencer. Also, Dante Falconeri visits Sonny Corinthos, while Lucas Jones frees Marco Rios. Liesl Obrecht meets up with family Obrecht, Damian Spinelli, and James West are throwing axes at the throwing club. She demonstrates some techniques to James, while Spinelli texts Lulu Spencer, inviting her over. Obrecht expresses to Spinelli that she has been gone for too long. They discuss how James resembles Nathan West, and Oma wonders why no one told her about Willow Tate's out-of-control conduct. James continues to throw axes and receives encouragement from Oma, while Spinelli advises her to be more gentle with Willow. Obrecht is concerned that Willow is sliding, yet she believes there is some darkness within her. Jarley's chat in the Metro Court pool. Jason tells Carly that when Rocco Falconeri mentioned Britt Westbourne's name, he thought he saw her in the Paris airport. Carly believes he mistook someone with a similar appearance for Britt as she explains, "I hate to admit it. It's unfortunate that she's gone." However, Jason tells her that he was also in that scenario. He relates the birth certificate situation and how Rocco discovered that Britt had taken the embryo and implanted it in her. Carly does not judge because she saved Joss' life. Jason wonders whether she's not dead. Rocco is ashamed that his mother is observing him at work. General Hospital recap July 23. Rocco and Liesl reconnect, and Willow discovers Drew's treachery. Dante Falconeri's concerns at PCPD. General Hospital summaries for the July 23 show note that Dante interrupts ADA Justine Turner and Sonny. She moves away to chat with Jen Sidwell, while Sonny warns his son that discussing the Marco situation may be a bad idea. Dante reminds his father that children look up to him. Meanwhile, outdoors, Turner asks Sidwell if he believes foul play was involved in his son's death. Sidwell confesses he has no evidence and is looking for assurances concerning his son's safety. Turner approaches Sonny, and Dante listens as Sidwell expresses his concern that his son has been taken by someone who is blackmailing him. Lucas Jones saves Marco Rios. Meanwhile, Lucas arrives at the address specified in the note and uses the key to enter, discovering Marco strapped to a chair and unconscious. Marco awakens and frees himself from his shackles. They have a long kiss, and Marco later rushes to the PCPD to explain everything before things escalate between his father and Sonny. Marco chooses not to stir the pot and does not tell Lucas the full tale of what happened to him. General Hospital recap July 23. Rocco and Liesl reconnect, and Willow discovers Drew's treachery. Nina Reeves vs. Drew Kane across town. Nina Reeves approaches Drew Kane to inform him that Sasha Corbin has left Port Charles with Daisy Gilmore. Drew feels this is due to Michael Corinthos attempting to manipulate her. But Nina claims it was Sasha's decision since someone was endangering their baby. She informs him of the strange events surrounding the baby and holds Drew accountable for everything. Drew denies this claim, adding that he would never injure children in order to rescue Willow's children. He feels it is linked to Sunny, but Nina is unsure. Willow believes Portia Robinson is attempting to turn her against Drew Kane in Portia Robinson's office, but she notes that this will not work. Portia insists it is true. He wants her to change Michael's blood test to make it appear that he is an addict so he may take the man's children. If it doesn't bother her, Portia isn't sure who Willow really is. She understands how hard Michael has fought, and now Drew wants her to ruin everything. Willow responds, "If that's what it takes, I'm with Drew." Portia tries to reason with her, but Willow reminds her that he used the legal system to take her children away. She doesn't want her personal issues mixed with work. Portia runs to Nina. Portia again claims that her fiancé is blackmailing her, but her words go unheard. Willow responds that Michael is doing the same to her, so she doesn't care, reiterating her conviction and trust in Drew. Willow goes, ignorant to the obvious problems, believing that whatever Drew is doing will help her get her children back. Later, Nina rushes into Portia's office and discovers that Drew is blackmailing her into portraying Michael as a drug addict. Nina is astounded to find that Willow is unconcerned at all. General Hospital recap July 23rd. Rocco and Liesl reconnect, Willow discovers Drew's treachery, Marco's made-up story back at the PCPD, Marco interrupts Ada Turner, Sunny and Jens, assuring them that he is well. Father and son hug, and Marco tells a long story about getting lost in the woods while trying not to think about his mother. He claims he lost cell service, fell into a ravine, and when he got back to his car he found a flat tire. He decided to take a rest and fell asleep until quite recently. Turner advises him that he must sign a statement, and he agrees to do so before leaving. Sidwell follows him out, and Sunny tells Turner he is relieved that everything has been addressed. Ada Turner continues questioning. Turner pieced together the events surrounding the Charlie's fire and the following kidnapping reprisal, but Sunny clings to Marco's story. Turner decides that he is as corrupt as she imagined, but Sunny responds that if he were, Marco would be dead. Turner admits that both she and Sunny bear responsibility for Natalia Ramirez's death. Sunny and Turner get semi-flirtatious after Sunny teases her for doubting him because she missed him. She ignores the comment and continues on her way. Lucas updates Carly. Lucas rushes to the pool to inform her that she owes him money, which he is ready to collect. Carly lets Lucas into Marco's room upstairs, where he tells that he found Marco beaten and chained to a chair. Carly is pleased that he is unharmed. Lucas says that if he hadn't been, he would have made sure Jason and Sunny were imprisoned for life. Carly thinks he's being unrealistic, which irritates Lucas. In fact, he tells her not to protect Sunny and Jason before walking away. Marco walks in and goes to the shower before Lucas expresses his concern for him, and Marco kisses him all the way to the bed. Damian Spinelli discusses wedding plans. Spinelli pays Drew a visit to notify him that all of the invites have been received, and that he and Maxie Jones wish him well. Willow comes, and they decide to invite Liesl to the wedding. They are eager for Maxie to return home soon, and Spinelli bids Willow farewell before she becomes impatient for the wedding. Drew wonders if Willow was playing with Daisy while she thinks about where to seat Liesl, possibly close to Nina. He asks about her activities on July 4th while he was in D.C., and she says she had a drink with her mom. Rocco Falconeres questions. Rocco informs Jason that Britt Westbourne is more complex than he previously thought, and reveals that he contacted Albrecht and they met. Based on what she stated, he believes Britt isn't all evil. Of course, Albrecht comes and stares at Jason before greeting the two men and asking Rocco for help in finding a chaise. Elsewhere, Lulu arrives at the throwing club and sees Liesl has returned. Why? Lulu asks. Spinelli expresses her concern for Willow, but Lulu suspects that Liesl is there to see Rocco. She hurriedly asks Dante to meet her at the club. When Dante arrives, he finds Lulu throwing axes, and she informs him that Albrecht is present. They agree that they must speak with Rocco about her immediately. General Hospital recap July 23rd. Rocco and Liesl reconnect and Willow discovers Drew's treachery. Lant freaks out seeing Rocco with Albrecht. Finally, Jeech recaps for Wednesday's show reveal that back at the pool, Carly goes Jason and sees Liesl there, noting, "That can't be a coincidence." The two discuss Britt's death, and Jason realizes he needs to speak with Liesl. Nearby, Liesl tells ROCCO stories of her time as a hostage on Cassadine Island, including how Britt shot her with a fishing rifle. They take a photo just as his parents arrive, and the boy is whisked away, while Lulu informs Liesl that she is going and should keep her distance from her son. Liesl expresses regret, hoping they might get along, and mentions that ROCCO would not be here if it weren't for Britta. Liesl departs, and ROCCO chastises his parents for becoming involved. Willow believed she had left the darkness behind. After overcoming illness, reconnecting with Michael, and attempting to re-establish a sense of normalcy with her family, the prospect of a second wedding, something modest, lovely, and intimate, felt like the ideal way to cap off a stressful year. But when she came into the Metro Court ballroom for a cake tasting, she didn't expect to see Drew Kane, and the expression in his eyes wasn't welcoming. Something had shifted. The man who had previously saved her life now resembled someone with power, and he was not afraid to wield it. Drew had been unraveling ever since his time in Pentonville. The coldness of prison life did something to him, removing the self-righteous hero persona he once proudly wore. He'd emerged tougher, more calculated. And while he maintained the external appearance of a charming, dependable ex-Navy SEAL turned businessman, Drew had grown increasingly willing to bend the laws and people to obtain what he wanted. And what he wanted now was straightforward control, power, and perhaps a little vengeance. For Drew, the wedding had become a flashpoint. It was annoying to watch Willow and Michael prance around like Port Charles royalty. Drew had previously imagined a similar type of happiness, perhaps not with Willow, but with someone who saw the best in him. That fantasy had crumbled. Now he saw vulnerability in everyone's smiles and opportunity in every secret. Especially Willow's. When he summoned Willow to meet in private, she figured it was for ELQ or family logistics. But what Drew placed out on the table astounded her. Photos, messages, posts were printed online. All of this pointed to a troubling reality Willow believed she'd forgotten. Willow had anonymously tormented a local artist named Daisy years before, when she was emotionally unstable and overwhelmed with loss. It had begun as an obsession. She imagined Daisy was part of a group that had exploited her when she was vulnerable. However, it escalated into something else. Threats. Photos were doctored. Long rants from fraudulent accounts. Willow thought those days were over. She had healed. She had changed. But Drew had all of the evidence. More than that, he had a motive. He'd spoken to Daisy. He had hinted about going to the press. "This wedding," he explained, "is your redemption story. Don't back out now, unless you want Port Charles to meet the real Willow." She was shocked. Her voice trembled as she asked him why. Why do this now? Drew offered her a false shrug as if he didn't know. Perhaps it was about control. Perhaps he didn't want to see Michael happy. Perhaps he needed to show that he still had teeth after being chewed up by the court system. Whatever the cause, Willow understood she was trapped. If she canceled the wedding or even wavered too much, Drew could spin the story and restart her life. Mike had no idea. He was working overtime to balance ELQ and fatherhood. Willow seemed distracted if not withdrawn recently, but he attributed it to wedding stress. He had no idea Drew, his erstwhile ally, had become a menace. Willow didn't know how to tell him. Each time she opened her mouth, she pictured the shame and humiliation. How will he react? Will he still love her? Or would he regard her as unstable and broken? Someone who had previously tormented another woman under a false name? The guilt gnawed at her. But the fear was terrible. Drew did not threaten idly. He was exact and patient. He did not need to yell or scream. He merely informed her that a single press release may bring her entire life crashing down. And if she told anyone what he was up to, he would make it appear as if she had coordinated the slander campaign to avoid marriage. Willow looked like a ghost on the day of her wedding rehearsal. Carly noticed right away. She grabbed her aside and asked if everything was fine. Willow nodded, gave a hollow grin, and explained that she was simply weary. Carly did not buy it, but she let it go. Meanwhile, Drew stood at the bar, chatting with visitors as if nothing was wrong, drinking his drink, and keeping Willow in his peripheral vision at all times. Drew's actions was not overlooked. Jason, who had recently returned to Port Charles and was struggling to find his place in the mayhem, had grown weary of Drew's demeanor. He observed the tension between Drew and Willow, noticing glimpses of terror in her eyes whenever they crossed paths. Jason didn't know the whole story, but his instincts told him Drew was up to something sinister. Willow sat on the edge of her bed, holding her phone and scrolling through the old burner account she had used to harass Daisy. It was dormant now. However, the messages remained. Angry, unpredictable, and paranoid. She couldn't believe she had actually penned those words. That was not her anymore. But to the outside world, such posts were unmistakable. Drew sent her a new text message. "Sleep tight, bride-to-be." The next day, Willow broke. She drove to the cliffs near Spoon Island because she needed space to scream and to do something. And that is where Nina discovered her. The two ladies had not always agreed, but Wiley and Donna had brought them closer together. Nina approached cautiously, sat next to her, and waited. Willow eventually opened up and told her everything. Nina's eyes grew wider with each syllable. For once, she did not respond with drama. She simply listened and asked Willow the question she had been too terrified to ask. "What do you want?" Willow whispered. "I want to be free of this. But if I walk away, I'll lose everything." "Maybe," she replied. "Or maybe it's time someone reminded Drew who he's messing with." That night, Nina went to Carly, not to brag but to warn. And while Carly was taken aback by the accusations, something in her changed. Her loyalty to Drew was limited. If he was truly blackmailing Willow, he had passed a line that could not be undone. Meanwhile, Drew was planning his next move. He had already drafted a press release disguised as a leak, an anonymous tip exposing Willow's past mental health issues and her cyberstalking behavior. He hadn't released it yet, but he kept it ready as a digital grenade he could detonate at any moment. But he underestimated others around him. Jason confronted him first. In a quiet moment behind the Quartermain boathouse, Jason cornered Drew and questioned, "Are you threatening Willow?" Drew smirked but did not respond. "If you are," Jason said, leaning closer, "then we are no longer brothers." The word struck Drew like a blow. Jason had always served as the measuring stick and moral compass. Hearing the rejection rattled something inside him, but not enough to make him stop. Carly was next. She met Drew on the Metro Court rooftop, the same location where so many secrets were traded. She made it clear. "If you don't back off, Willow, I'll go to the press first. I'll make sure you're the focus of the story. Drew, you're not untouchable. And you are not as smart as you believe." Drew did not answer. He departed calmly, but something in his eyes changed. He no longer had control. Willow returned to the mansion, unsure whether the wedding would proceed. But Michael, sensing something deep within her, grabbed her hands and murmured, "Whatever you're going through, we'll get through it." Willow made her decision when they were together. She stood at the altar, her heart beating. Drew was in the front row, staring with the same hard glare. However, Willow did not break. She said her vows, kissed Michael, and smiled despite the tears. But as soon as the reception started, she approached Jason for a private conversation. Later that night, Drew arrived home to find his flat had been ransacked, not by burglars but by the truth. The data he had collected, the flash drive, and the notes were all gone. A message appeared on his desk. "Your move is complete." He called Willow in a panic, but she did not respond. Willow sat on Michael's porch across town, sipping wine. The stars were out. For the first time in weeks, she could breathe. She had no idea what the future would bring. But she realized she wasn't alone. And she knew one thing for certain. Drew may have played his card, but she had regained her independence. Not in silence but rather in the truth.